To outsiders, Liu Ruyan and I had a picture-perfect family, and an adorable daughter. Even I thought we'd be this happy forever. But 7 years into our marriage, my wife started resisting my touch more and more. She even texted her bestie, Shu Tingting, asking, "What if I've got the physical ick, but I'm financially attached? What should I do?" Until her ultimate childhood crush, Ito Cheng, returned to the country. 1 month. It only took 1 month for me to become a total joke. When Ito Cheng came back, Liu Ruyan went to pick him up. She partied all night with him at a hotel. She didn't tell me. On the phone, she just said there was an emergency surgery, so she wasn't coming home. I just said okay, and told her not to overwork herself. After hanging up I read our daughter Tiantian a bedtime story. Holding her teddy bear, she quickly fell asleep. But in the middle of the night, Tiantian's weak crying woke me up. I touched her forehead. It was burning hot. The red line on the thermometer stopped right at 39.2 degrees. My chest tightened. I immediately called Liu Ruyan. The first time, it rang forever, but no one answered. The second time, it only rang twice. Before she straight up declined it, I didn't dare waste another second. I wrapped a blanket tightly around a dizzy Tiantian, grabbed my car keys and rushed to her hospital. In the midnight air lobby, the smell of disinfectant and anxiety mixed together, making it hard to breathe. Holding my unconscious daughter, I lined up to register and pay, running up and down the freezing hallways. Tiantian whimpered uncomfortably in my arms, her little face flushed red from the fever, subconsciously calling for her mom. Every word felt like a red-hot needle piercing my heart. At the corner leading to the lab, I bumped into Dr. Zhang from Liu Ruyan's department. He had just gotten out of surgery, looking completely drained. He looked surprised to see me. "Gee, Boda, it's so late. Did you bring Tiantian in?" I said she had a high fever, and turned slightly, so he could see a weak Tiantian in my arms. "Oh man, why didn't you call Liu Ruyan?" Dr. Zhang looked confused. "She took the day off today, specifically to stay home with the kid." My feet instantly rooted to the ground. All the background noise seemed to get muted. All I could hear was the blood pounding in my head. "She took the day off." My own voice sounded frighteningly dry. Dr. Zhang nodded. Yeah. She asked the director for a few days off, saying she had something super important to do. You didn't know. Right after he said that, his phone rang. He hurriedly answered it, and left. I stood there alone, holding Tiantian. The window at the end of the hall was open, and the freezing winter wind howled down my collar. The chill seeped through my skin straight into my bones. I looked down at my daughter, her face flushed with fever, and felt it was all so absurd and pathetic. Her mom took days off to hang out with a super important friend, while her daughter had a 39-degree fever, and the calls from her husband were declined without a second thought. At 3 a.m., I brought Tiantian home after her 5V drip. The empty house was dead, silent. My daughter was asleep, but I couldn't sleep at all. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through short videos. Maybe that welcome party was just too flashy. Someone was bound to post videos showing off her bestie, Ito Cheng's friends, or even random bystanders. And just like that, on the app, I swiped through over a dozen different angles of the live event. The algorithm is crazy. It knew my wife was hosting a welcome party for her crush, so it pushed it straight to my For You page. The first video was posted by Liu Ruyan's bestie, with the caption, "My girl deserves the world." In the video, Liu Ruyan was wearing a champagne dress I had never seen before, looking absolutely stunning. She was intimately serving food to Ito Cheng. That dress looked expensive and very revealing, completely backless down to her waist. She'd never worn anything like it in front of me. I scrolled past expressionlessly. Not long after, I hit a second video. This time it was taken by Ito Cheng's buddy. The camera was dead on, pointing at the two of them. The BGM was "Marry Me Today." Liu Ruyan was holding a wine glass, cheeks flushed, looking up at Ito Cheng. That focused, obsessed look in her eyes. I had never seen that before, either. When the sky started to lighten, I changed the cold towel on Tiantian's forehead. I hadn't closed my eyes all night. The sound of the key turning in the lock was exceptionally harsh in the dead silence. The door opened, and Liu Ruyan walked in. Or, rather, The woman in that champagne dress walked in. The stunning dress from the video was now clinging to her, all wrinkled, with some unknown wine stains on the hem. A strong smell, a mix of alcohol and cheap stranger's cologne, entered before she did, invading the territory I had guarded all night. That wasn't my scent, nor was it the scent of this home. She finally noticed me sitting in the shadow of the couch. She froze. Her eyes subconsciously darted away, landing on the dying houseplant in the corner. She casually tossed her designer bag on the cabinet, making a dull thud. She said, "I meant to tell you last night." Her voice was soft, carrying a post-hangover raspiness, and a barely noticeable hint of guilt. I didn't say a word, just quietly looked at her. She got more and more uncomfortable under my stare, reached out to fix her hair and spoke again. The department had a last-minute get-together. The director was there too, so I couldn't say no, and my phone just happened to die. She started spinning her lies with practiced ease, a lie that sounded fairly reasonable. If this was before, I might have actually bought it. Too bad. The algorithm taught me a vivid lesson last night. I picked up the kid's fever medicine from the coffee table and shook it. The liquid inside sloshed clearly. Tian had a fever of 39.2 last night. My voice was very soft too, but it hit like a rock thrown into a quiet lake. Liu Ruan's face instantly changed. She walked over quickly, asking anxiously, "And now? Has her fever broken? Why didn't you call me?" That accusation was truly the joke of the year. I laughed. It was genuinely funny. Even my chest was vibrating. I picked up my phone, tapped open the call logs, and turned the screen to her. "The first one you ignored. The second one, you declined." The cold light from the screen illuminated her face. That motherly panic instantly froze. She opened her mouth, seemingly wanting to explain something, but couldn't get a single word out. I said, "Makes sense. Since your girl deserves the world." I slowly pulled my phone back, copying the exact caption from her bestie's video, reading it out word by word. Liu Ruian's pupils violently shrank. I didn't give her time to react. I kept going. "Dr. Liu, you looked really good in that dress. Ito Cheng's friends have decent taste too. The song 'Marry Me Today' they used for you guys totally fit the vibe." My tone was flat, like discussing today's weather, but with every word, the color drained from her face a little more. "Also, you clearly took several days off, but you told me you were working overtime at the hospital. Who are you trying to fool?" She looked at me, her lips trembling. In those eyes, I was once completely obsessed with. Panic finally surfaced. How did you know? How did you know?" I stood up and walked right in front of her. I'm a head taller than her, and my shadow completely engulfed her. I leaned down to her ear and asked in a voice only the two of us could hear. I said, "I just want to know, when I called you the second time, and you hung up without hesitation, was Ito Cheng's hand on your waist or on your shoulder?" "What nonsense are you talking about? Ito Cheng and I are completely platonic. That call, I just didn't hear it." I laughed. "Platonic? Didn't hear it?" I let out a sneer and slid my phone across the coffee table towards her. The screen was playing a high-def video on loop. In the video, she was flashing a gorgeous smile while handing Ito Cheng a drink. As she leaned forward slightly, her top dipped a little too low, and Ito Cheng's eyes were locked right there. I said, "Do you even realize how messed up this is? Is that why you need so many excuses to cover it up?" I slowly stood up straight, looking down at her, and continued. "Liu Ruian, let me remind you of something. We are married. I am your husband. Keeping a safe distance from your childhood crush is the absolute minimum respect you owe this marriage." Liu Ruian complained. "See, you always get like this." I was right to hide it. "There's literally nothing going on between me and Ito Cheng." I said nothing. It felt like I just heard the biggest joke in the world. I asked, "Since when did the city hospital start offering new services?" "Your overtime project is hosting welcome party. Attending physicians have to personally act as escorts, escorting him all the way to a hotel room for the night. Next time, should we just drag the patients to the karaoke bar for a consultation then?" "Gee Boda, how dare you humiliate me like this?" Liu Ruian instantly blew up, her eyes burning with anger and humiliation. I replied, "I'm just stating the facts." I grabbed my phone, unlocked it right in front of her, slowly scrolled through my contacts, and said, "Tell you what, let's make it fair. Tonight, I'll ask my college junior out for drinks. Chat about life and dreams. She just got divorced recently, and is feeling super down. I should probably keep her company. And hey, if I drink too much, I might just book a hotel room for the night too." I paused, looked up at her with a deadpan face and said, "Don't worry, I'll make sure to remind you not to overthink it. We are totally platonic. Gee Boda, don't you dare." I let out a scoff, my finger hovering right over the junior's name. I paused and said, "Watch me." After that absolute train wreck of an argument, Liu Ruyan actually behaved herself for a couple of days. She started coming home on time, and would voluntarily bathe Tiantian and read to her. She even did the dishes for once in her life. Watching her clumsy back in the kitchen, I genuinely thought for a second that my tough love actually worked, that maybe our family still had a chance. But the good times didn't last. By day 3, she was coming home late again. By day 5, she was back to staying out all night. The excuses were the same old recycled garbage. The hospital was busy, emergency surgery, department dinners. I didn't even argue with her anymore. Didn't even question it. Like an experienced farmer, staring at weeds that keep popping back up. I was just too tired to pull them out one by one. Instead, I started wondering if I should just abandon the whole field and plant elsewhere. One night, after reading Tiantian her bedtime story, the little girl wrapped her arms around my neck and asked in her sweet little voice, "Daddy, why isn't Mommy home yet? She promised she'd go to my sports day." My heart ached. Her kindergarten's family sports day was the day after tomorrow. The teachers had specifically stressed that both parents needed to be there. I patted Tiantian's head, grabbed my phone, opened my chat with Liu Ruyan, and texted her, "Tiantian's sports day is the day after tomorrow. You promised to go. Remember to come home early." A long time passed before she replied with a single word, "Okay." I stared at that lonely okay and felt absolutely nothing. The night before the sports day, the entryway was still completely empty. Tiantian kept running out of her room, standing on her tiptoes to check the door, only to be disappointed every single time. "Daddy, did Mommy get lost? Is Mommy saving a super important patient? Does Mommy not want Tiantian anymore?" Kids say whatever comes to their minds, but every word felt like a stab to the heart. By 10 p.m., Tiantian finally cried herself to exhaustion, falling asleep in my arms with little hiccups. I carried her back to her room and tucked her in. My phone screen lit up. It was a call from Liu Ruyan. I walked out to the balcony, shut the door, and picked up. "I can't make it home tonight," she said. Her voice was low, and I could faintly hear music and loud chatter in the background. I didn't say anything, just waited for her to keep talking. She said, "There's a last-minute emergency surgery. I'm the main surgeon, so I can't leave. Probably going to pull an all-nighter. I'll head straight to the kindergarten tomorrow morning." Surgery. Again. The city hospital sure has a lot of patients. So many that their attending physician basically has to live at the hospital. "Got it," I said, my voice completely flat. "What kind of surgery?" There was a noticeable pause on her end. She probably didn't expect me to grill her for details. She said, "It's a perforated, acute appendicitis. The situation is pretty complicated." "Oh," I replied. "Well, get back to work then. Stay safe." And then I just hung up. I opened my WeChat moments and started scrolling out of habit. Then my finger froze. One of Ito Cheng's friends, some guy I never even added, but whose post popped up because of a mutual friend, had posted a video at 9:30 p.m. The private birthday room was flashing with dazzling lights. A whole squad was crowded around a massive cake. Ito Cheng was sitting dead center like the main character, smiling from ear to ear as he made a wish. And my wife, Dr. Liu, who was supposedly supposed to be at the operating table, saving a patient with a ruptured appendix, was standing right beside Ito Cheng. Looking at him like a total fangirl, she was leading the birthday song, clapping harder than anyone else. She was wearing a white knit sweater today, looking incredibly soft and sweet. That focused gaze, that radiant smile. She looked like a completely different person from the life-saving wife in the white coat. That I remembered. I expressionlessly took a screenshot. Less than 2 minutes later, I refreshed the page, and the post was gone. Quick delete. Too bad it was too late. I stared at the screenshot on my phone. In the picture, Liu Ruian's head was leaning slightly against Ito Cheng's shoulder. She looked blissfully happy. I suddenly felt like the biggest clown on earth. She wasn't doing surgery. She was throwing a birthday party for her literal god. I took a deep breath. The freezing air filled my lungs, but it couldn't put out the raging fire in my stomach. I opened my camera roll and moved this fresh out the oven screenshot, along with the previous video screenshots, into a brand new folder. I kept the folder name simple, evidence. At the sports day check-in, all the other kids were clinging to their parents. But Tiantian just had a sad little face, gripping the hem of my shirt. The kindergarten speakers were blasting that upbeat athlete's march on loop. I crouched down and fixed the little number tag on her chest. Are you ready, Tiantian? Daddy's going to help you win first place today. Tiantian nodded super hard, but she couldn't hide the disappointment in her big eyes as she asked, Is Mommy coming? I went silent for a second, then patted her head and said, Mommy's out fighting monsters. Let's do the race first, and once we win the gold medal, she'll show up. Tiantian and I actually bagged first place in the three-legged race. The little girl, with a shiny plastic gold medal hanging around her neck, was invited up to the stage by the teacher. She held the mic, her little face totally flushed, but her voice was super loud. She said, I'm really happy today, but what I want to tell my mommy the most is, next time you have to come play with me. I miss you so much. A wave of warm applause broke out from the crowd. Standing in the audience, looking at my daughter on stage, my chest felt completely blocked. A complete family really is crucial for a kid, so crucial that I actually had to put up with all this toxic BS. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the entrance. Liu Ruian was fashionably late, only catching a glimpse of Tiantian walking off the stage. She was dressed super casually today, not looking exhausted from an all-night surgery at all. Her makeup, however, was flawless. Mommy, the second Tiantian saw her, the tears started flowing. She dashed over on her little legs, hugged her mom's thigh, and sobbed uncontrollably. Liu Ruian looked kind of awkward, crouching down to hug Tiantian and awkwardly trying to comfort her. I walked over, my voice totally chill. Let's find a place to eat first. We can buy Tiantian a gift to cheer her up. Liu Ruian nodded in agreement. At the restaurant, just as Tiantian finally calmed down, Liu Ruian's phone started ringing. She glanced at the caller ID, and her expression instantly got a little weird. She took her phone and walked off to the side. When she came back, she had this super apologetic look. Jiboda, I'm so sorry. The hospital just got a car crash victim with massive bleeding. They urgently need surgery. So I have to head back. Surgery. Again. Her surgeries were literally more punctual than my Uber Eats orders. I nodded, not even looking at her, and said, Got it, you better hurry then. The patient is more important. She seemed shocked that I was being so easygoing. She froze for a sec, then quickly grabbed her bag, gave Tiantian a peck on the cheek, turned around, and bailed. Watching her back disappear, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. I said, Yo, Chenzi, you busy? Chenzi was my college buddy, who worked in the general surgery department, literally right next to Liu Ruian's department. He replied, Not really, just got out of surgery. What's up? Nothing much. Just wanted to ask if your hospital just took in a car crash patient with massive bleeding. My wife said it was pretty serious. There was a 2-second silence on the other end. Chenzi's voice sounded a little weird. When he said, car crash. Nope, haven't heard of one. Besides, didn't Liu Ruian take the day off today? I literally saw her leave request slip this morning. Ah, is that so? I let out a laugh and said, Guess I must have misheard. Jiboda, you're acting sus bro. Chenzi's inner gossip was fully ignited. He said, Are you and Liu Ruian having issues? Because I've heard people in the department talking. She's been super close with that new returnee, Ito Cheng. Lately, they literally get lunch together every single day. You better watch out. He got angrier as he spoke. Cursing, damn it! What kind of BS is this? Just wait, I'll keep an eye on them for you. If I catch them acting all lovey-dovey again, I'll snap a pic for you on the spot. I hung up the phone, looked down at my plate, and suddenly lost my appetite. Not long after Tiantian and I finished eating, my phone dinged. It was a photo from Chenzi. The background was some fancy high-end Western restaurant. Liu Rian and Ito Cheng had their heads glued together, leaning in to look at something on a phone, smiling super brightly. Liu Rian was still wearing the same loungewear from this morning. So this is what her operating room looks like. Tiantian suddenly started crying again in my arms, her little hands gripping my shirt, sobbing with hiccups. She accidentally saw the photo. She choked out, "Daddy, Mommy is a bad person. Tiantian doesn't like Mommy. I don't want her anymore." I held my daughter, gently patting her back, unable to say a single word. That glaring photo was still lit up on my screen. I casually saved it and dropped it into the folder named Evidence. Right after I coaxed Tiantian to sleep, my phone suddenly started buzzing on the nightstand. The caller ID was an unknown number. My heart inexplicably dropped. My first reaction was actually thinking Liu Ruyan got into an accident. The funny thing is, as that thought flashed by, besides a jolt, I didn't feel a single ounce of panic. I answered the call and heard my mother-in-law's anxious, frantic, tearful voice. "Jiboda, Liu Qiang. He suddenly fainted. He's at the city hospital right now. Please come over quickly. I can't reach Liu Ruyan's phone at all." My brain buzzed. I immediately jumped out of bed, throwing on clothes while comforting her. "Mom, don't panic." "Which department?" "I'll be right there." Rushed to the hospital, handled the admission, ran up and down paying bills and getting meds, contacting the doctors. By the time my father-in-law was finally settled in his hospital bed, it was already late at night. My mother-in-law sat by the bed, her eyes red as she grabbed my hand, looking exhausted and guilty. "Jiboda, sorry to make you work so hard again." "That kid Liu Ruyan." Sigh. "I know you two have been off lately. Please bear with her. If you guys have issues, just talk it out openly. Don't keep it bottled up." I nodded without saying a word. "Talk it out? Talk about what?" "Ask her what brand of cigarettes Ito Cheng smokes. Or ask her whose bed she was in." Getting busy, my father-in-law woke up in his bed, slowly opened his eyes, his cloudy gaze landing on me. He waved at me, motioning for me to come closer. "Jiboda, come here." His voice was super weak, but his eyes were unusually clear. I leaned in. He said, "Don't listen to her mom's nonsense." He took a breath and continued, "That girl Liu Ruyan is my own daughter. I know exactly what kind of BS she's up to. Her mind is wandering right now. I know it." He paused, a flash of guilt and determination in his eyes. "Back then, at the intersection, if you hadn't pushed my wife out of the way, the grass on her grave would be as tall as a person by now. Our Liu family owes you. If Liu Ruyan actually did something to betray you, don't worry about us. Do whatever you need to do. I've got your back in this family. Just make sure you take good care of Tiantian." My nose stung, and my eyes got a bit hot. I nodded heavily and said, "Dad, don't worry." Walking out of the hospital, the cold wind hit me, waking me up quite a bit. I drove to my mom's place to pick up Tiantian. On the way, Liu Ruyan's call finally came through. The second I had picked up, she threw a massive fit at me. "Jiboda, you're unbelievable. Running to my parents to snitch behind my back. I was wondering why you were so chill earlier. Turns out you were just plotting this. How petty can you be? Your heart is so twisted. That's why you see everything as dirty, right?" She had probably just arrived at the hospital. I could hear my mother-in-law trying to calm her down in the background, listening to her unhinged screaming. I suddenly felt it was all so pointless. I didn't even have the energy to argue back. So, in her mind, staying out all night and lying constantly wasn't a mistake, but me making her lose face in front of her parents was the ultimate sin. "I don't have time for this," I replied flatly with those few words, and just hung up on her. There's no point communicating with someone living in their own Delulu world. Back at the hospital, Liu Ruyan held her disconnected phone, completely stunned. Her mom next to her was crying from anger. She scolded, "Look at yourself. You think you're in the right here, a married woman, going out and partying every single night. Who are you trying to fool?" Her dad in the hospital bed was so mad his chest was heaving. He pointed at Liu Ruyan, his hand shaking. He yelled, Didn't you say you were working overtime? Overtime in which department? Is partying with Ito Cheng considered overtime? Liu Ruiyan's face went dead pale. Her lips trembling, she said, Dad. What? What? Nonsense, so you say. Nonsense? Her dad sneered, directly grabbed his phone from the nightstand, and dialed a number right in front of her. Hello? Director Liu. This is Liu Ruiyan's father. Could you do me a favor? Send me Liu Ruiyan's attendance record for this month. Yes. I need it right now. Let me see. Exactly how much overtime Dr. Liu has been working. All the color instantly drained from Liu Ruiyan's face. She lunged forward to grab the phone, her voice pitching up in panic. Dad, don't call. What are you doing? But the more she tried to stop him, the more her parents' hearts sank. That outstretched hand was like a loud slap in the face, completely shattering all her crumbling lies. After that day, Liu Ruiyan came home once. She didn't mention her dad being in the hospital, and didn't ask about Tiantian, just tossed her bag on the entryway cabinet, looked at me coldly and said, You snitched to my parents. Are you happy now? I was sitting on the couch, peeling an apple for Tiantian. Hearing this, I didn't even bat an eye, and just said, Your dad is in bad health. Stop pissing him off. If something else happens to him, I won't be able to help you. She probably thought I was using her dad to pressure her. Her expression got even uglier. But in the end, she didn't say anything else. Turned around, walked into the bedroom, and slammed the door shut. For the next month or so, I could count on one hand the times Liu Ruiyan came home. Every time she did, she acted like a tenant just crashing here. She was always either tired or sleepy. Whenever I opened my mouth to have a real talk, she'd just grab her phone or hide in the bedroom, shoving my words right back down my throat. Her excuse for going out was always hospital overtime. Meanwhile, my phone was steadily receiving dozens of hard proofs of her overtime. From Chen Zi. Sometimes it was at a fancy steakhouse. Liu Ruiyan, resting her chin on her hands, smiling sweetly at Ito Cheng across the table. Chen Zi would caption it, Bro, tomahawk steak tonight. Your wife has quite the appetite. Sometimes it was at a concert, the two of them with their heads together, looking like they were sharing earbuds. Chen Zi's commentary was sharp and concise. So cultured. Such elegant taste. I saved them one by one. That evidence folder was getting packed. One night, Tiantian suddenly started throwing a massive tantrum. She refused to eat a single bite of dinner, just hugged my neck, and kept crying for her mom. She cried until her little face turned purple, almost hyperventilating. I tried to calm her down for ages, used every trick in the book, but she was still crying her lungs out. I was completely out of options. Looking at my daughter, crying until she was exhausted, the last string holding my patience finally snapped. I grabbed the car keys, wrapped Tiantian in a thick coat, and booked it straight to the city hospital. When we got to her department, her office door was slightly ajar. Soft light spilled out from inside. I carried Tiantian and raised my hand to knock, but heard Ito Cheng's voice coming from inside, teasing her with this intimate tone. You're just too stubborn. Why didn't you tell me when you were going through a hard time? Then came Liu Ruiyan's soft voice, carrying a trace of unmistakable grievance. What's the point of telling you? My heart stopped for a second. Like I was possessed, I gently pushed the door open. Inside the office, Liu Ruiyan had her back to the door, literally hugging Ito Cheng. Ito Cheng's hand was on her back, gently patting her lower, like he was comforting a wronged child. The scene looked so cozy and harmonious. They heard the door open and snapped their heads around. When Liu Ruiyan saw me and Tiantian in my arms, she stiffened and reflexively shoved Ito Cheng away. I didn't say a single word, just looked at them silently. Then I gently pulled the door shut. My bad for interrupting. The door clicked shut behind me, cutting off everything inside. I looked down at my daughter in my arms. She was looking up at me with her red, puffy eyes, her tiny hands gripping my shirt tightly. Tiantian, I heard my own voice say. I was so calm it honestly scared me. I said, you might be a motherless child soon. Tiantian didn't quite get it, asking timidly, Daddy, why did Mommy hug that weird uncle? Does she not love Tiantian anymore? Or want Daddy either? After a minute or so, the office door finally opened. Liu Ruiyan rushed out, still wearing that panic-caught red-handed look. But she actually tried to gaslight me first. Jiboda, why didn't you even knock? I couldn't even be bothered with her pathetic rage, and just stared at her coldly. My stare totally freaked her out. Her eyes darted away guiltily, forcing an insanely cringe smile, and she started making up lame excuses. Don't overthink it. There's literally nothing between me and Ito Cheng. Just now, he just had some dust on his collar. I was just brushing it off for him. That excuse was so trash, it was hilarious. I let out a sneer, slowly pulled out my phone right in front of her, and opened the evidence folder. I scrolled to the photo Chensei had just sent me this afternoon. In the pic, Liu Ruyan and Ito Cheng were sitting by the window of some trendy cafe. With the afternoon sun hitting them, the romantic vibes were off the charts. Liu Ruyan was scooping up a bite of cake from her plate and intimately feeding it to Ito Cheng. I shoved the screen right in her face. My voice wasn't loud, but every word was crystal clear. Oh really? Then how do you explain this? Did he have dust on his lips that you needed to lick off too? In the cold light of the screen, Liu Ruyan's face instantly drained from an angry red to ghost white. Then, from white to green, her face was changing colors like a palette. It was epic. Before I could even finish, that pick-me guy Ito Cheng strolled out of the office pretending to be cool. He walked up next to Liu Ruyan and casually put his arm around her shoulder. Acting like some boss protecting his woman, he looked at me and frowned. Sir, knocking before entering someone's office is basic common sense, isn't it? Do you literally have zero manners? He spoke super slowly, oozing that condescending I studied abroad superiority complex. Also, Liu Ruyan and I are just regular colleagues, totally platonic. As her husband, if you don't care about her, whatever. But coming to the hospital to throw a tantrum, don't you think that's incredibly toxic? That little speech was textbook gaslighting, taking the moral high ground and completely clearing his own name. Tiantian suddenly started thrashing in my arms, pointing her chubby little finger at Ito Cheng. She screamed with her raspy little voice, "Big bad uncle, give my mommy back." A kid's piercing cry sounded incredibly harsh in the dead silent hallway. Tiantian had seen those photos on my phone more than once. She knew exactly that it was because of this old creep that mommy never came home and stopped reading her bedtime stories. Ito Cheng's fake chill facade instantly shattered, and Liu Ruyan's face went completely dark. She violently shook off Ito Cheng's arm and stomped over to me. Her eyes were literally shooting daggers, but surprisingly, not at me, but glaring right at her own daughter, Tiantian. Who taught you to be so disrespectful? Talking absolute trash here. She kept her voice low, but her tone was dripping with venomous blame. Next, she aggressively looked up and glared at me. Jiboda, is this how you raise a kid? Teaching her to twist the truth and slander people? Learning to spread rumors about adults at this age? Top-tier parenting, right there. Looking at her disgusting victim-blaming face, I laughed out of pure rage. I taught her. Liu Ruyan, are you actually brain dead? Kids have the purest eyes. They just say what they see. Don't you know what kind of trashy things you did that she saw? Stop capping. Liu Ruyan's voice instantly went up an octave. It seemed like the calmer I was, the more triggered she got. She screamed hysterically, "You take Tiantian right now, and bow and apologize to Ito Cheng." Apologize? That was literally the funniest joke I've ever heard. I mocked her. Dr. Liu, are you sure you're mentally stable? What are you tweaking about? Why should she apologize? Apologize because her mom is so shameless. She went to be a simp feeding cake to another guy. Liu Ruyan was completely gagged, her face turning an ugly shade of purple. She locked eyes with Tiantian in my arms, who was trembling from pure fear. The humiliation of having her lies publicly destroyed finally found an outlet. Like a total psycho, she yanked her hand back and swung hard right at Tiantian's little face, screaming, "I'll teach you to run your mouth. I'm gonna tear your mouth off today." But I was already expecting that move. I quickly dodged to the side, shielding Tiantian completely behind me. At the same time, my hand shot out like a vice, locking onto her wrists. I gripped her wrists so tight she couldn't even budge. "Liu Ruyan, are you out of your freaking mind?" My voice dropped to absolute zero, and I snapped, You did something sketchy behind my back, and you have the audacity to take it out on a kid. She bit her lip and argued, I'm her mom. I have every right to discipline my daughter. Liu Ruian's chest was heaving, clearly triggered out of her mind. Getting verbally destroyed in front of her precious Ito Cheng pushed her over the edge, and she started talking pure garbage. Ji Boda. Stop acting all high and mighty. Don't think I don't know what you're plotting. You're just embarrassed, because you feel like you got cucked, right? So you literally brainwash a kid to spread dirty rumors about me? And come to my workplace to throw a fit. You just hate seeing me win, and want to ruin my reputation, huh? She was really getting into character, acting like the victim. Her voice screeching like nails on a chalkboard. In those eyes that used to look kinda pretty, there was nothing left but twisted, spiteful rage. She raised her hand high again, and with a swoosh, swung viciously at Tiantian's face. Once more, the very last thread of my patience completely snapped. Right before her slap could land, I aggressively swatted her hand away. Liu Ruian instantly lost her balance, stumbling backward awkwardly from the force. Tiantian was shaking like a leaf from the chaos, her crying going pitchy from sheer terror. Starting from this exact second, I knew with absolute clarity what I had to do next. The evidence I had in my hands might not be enough to prove that they had actually slept together, but to win a divorce case and secure full custody of my daughter, it was more than enough. The next second, smack, an incredibly loud and crisp slap echoed through the dead-silent hallway. Time practically froze. Liu Ruian clutched her red, swollen cheek, totally shell-shocked. Her eyes were wide with disbelief and shock. You could hear a pin drop in the hallway. The passing nurses, the doctors from the next apartment poking their heads out to spill tea. Everyone's eyes locked onto us, instantly, like giant spotlights aimed straight at the three of us. Some colleagues who knew Liu Ruian immediately gave that we all knew it look. The whispering and gossiping started buzzing like flies. Someone whispered, Hey, isn't that Dr. Liu's husband, Ji Boda? He usually looks so well-mannered. Why did he suddenly slap her? Are you blind? Dr. Liu was tweaking and tried to hit her own kid. Her husband was just protecting his daughter. Plus, that slap just now. Damn, it was so satisfying to watch. I told you those two were sketchy. They literally eat lunch together every day like conjoined twins. A couple of days ago, I literally saw Dr. Ito giving Dr. Liu flowers in the hallway. Shh! Keep it down, this tea is too hot. The department head is probably going to show up any second. The voices of these onlookers, every single word was like a red-hot needle, stabbing ruthlessly into Liu Ruian's fake face, her carefully crafted angel and white perfect image she was so proud of, right here in her own department, was completely shattered into pieces. I casually shook my stinging hand from slapping her so hard, stared her down, and dropped the bomb word by word. Ever since your precious Ito Cheng came back, don't you know exactly what kind of disgusting crap you've pulled? You're a married woman, using overtime as an excuse to stay out all night, acting all flirty and thirsty with some other guy. Your own daughter had a 39-degree fever, practically having seizures, and you ignored all my calls. You put your own dad in the hospital from stress, and you blame me. And now, you want to hit my daughter right here in front of me. I took a massive, intimidating step toward her. Did you really think I was just some pushover you could walk all over? She just guiltily clutched her swollen face, her voice trembling so much she could barely speak. You actually hit me. Ito Cheng, who had been playing dead this whole time, suddenly snapped back to reality. He let out a yell, trying to play the hero, and reached for my collar, cursing, What kind of man are you? Committing domestic violence right here. I didn't even flinch. Right before his grubby hands could touch my shirt, I lifted my leg and delivered a brutal front kick, dead center, to his soft stomach. Ito Cheng's weak, frail body folded like a lawn chair, in pain, and flew backward like a broken sack. He slammed hard into the wall, 2 meters away with a heavy thud. Then, slid down to the floor like a pile of mud, clutching his stomach and rolling around in pain, completely unable to act tough anymore. A collective gasp echoed through the hallway. The onlookers were absolutely stunned. Ji Boda, are you completely insane? Liu Ruian screamed like a banshee and ran to Ito Cheng, desperate to help up her fragile little crush. She turned her head, looking at me like she wanted to eat me alive. yet still trying to make a dying defense. I told you, Ito Chang and I are totally platonic, pure as snow. We've never crossed the line. Stop spouting BS and throwing dirt on my name. Platonic. I was genuinely laughing at her stubborn, never-surrender audacity. I said, all right, since you're so innocent, let everyone be the judge. Say it out loud. What trashy wish did you make in front of everyone at Ito Chang's lavish birthday party last night? When you sang him happy birthday, you were practically glued to him, standing closer than his own mom. Is that what you call platonic? If Ito Chang's dad kicks the bucket tomorrow, are you gonna wear mourning clothes and go wail at his grave too? Your purity is truly touching. My words were brutal and unfiltered, giving her absolutely zero face. Liu Ruyan's face went from pale to green, looking like she just ate a fly. The gossip from the crowd in the hallway instantly blew up. Some nosy nurse laughed out loud. I knew it. She and that returnee Dr. Ito are definitely hooking up. Anyone with eyes could tell. Yeah, wasn't her husband from a rich family, like a trust fund kid? She used to humble brag about her wealth in the department all the time. Desk. Married such a rich, family-oriented guy and still isn't satisfied. Actually went out to cheat. So trashy. Exactly. Look at how traumatized her kid is by her own mom. So messed up. Hearing the ruthless insults from everyone around, Liu Ruyan instinctively turned to look at Ito Cheng, who was still slumped on the floor, hoping her precious little crush would stand up like a man and defend her. But Ito Cheng just curled up in the corner, one hand clutching his stomach, the other on the floor. His face turned a nasty shade of purple, and he was gasping heavily for air. He couldn't even speak a full sentence. Looking that pathetic. Where was that elite returnee vibe now? Liu Ruyan's defenses completely collapsed. She pointed at me, screaming hysterically, G. Boda. Ito Cheng and I are just normal co-workers. We are totally platonic. How dare you slander me? I'm divorcing you. I can't live like this for another day. Fine. I looked at her calmly and spat out the word. I said, since we're getting a divorce, let's make things crystal clear right now, and let your coworkers judge just how platonic Dr. Liu really is. The moment I said that, the hallway exploded. The doctors and nurses, poking their heads out, and the patients' families watching the drama, started buzzing with gossip like flies. All eyes landed on Liu Ruyan's pale face. Some were curious, some disgusted, and some were just enjoying the tea. An older head nurse couldn't watch anymore, came over and urged me, G. Boda. This is a hospital. Talk things out nicely. Don't make a scene here. It's disturbing the patients. Right after, two security guards rushed over, holding rubber batons. One who knew me shouted, G. Boda, what are you doing? Leave immediately. Or we're calling the cop. I ignored them. My eyes locked onto Liu Ruyan. From the backpack I was carrying, the one with Tiantian's water bottle and snacks, I pulled out a thick manila envelope. I threw it up in the air, and dozens of printed photos fell like snow, scattering everywhere. They showered all over Liu Ruyan and landed at her feet. I didn't want to make this public knowledge before, but since she refused to admit she was wrong, I didn't need to save her any face. These were all the receipts I saved as evidence. I bent down and picked up one photo, held it to her face and said, June 3rd, Ito Cheng returns. You lied and said it was a department dinner. This is a pic of you two having dinner. Look at how sweet you're smiling. I let go, and the photo drifted to the floor. I picked up another one. I said, July 5th, Tiantian's kindergarten sports day. You said there was an emergency surgery. This is you having a candlelit dinner with him at a steakhouse. The photo fell again. I said, July 20th, Ito Cheng's birthday. You said you had surgery again. This is you in a bougie private room, leading the happy birthday song for him. I picked them up one by one, and dropped them one by one. I said, our anniversary, you said you were on call. On weekends you said you had medical conferences. Liu Ruyan, do you even remember all the lies you told? Finally, I pulled out the last piece of paper from the envelope. It was a copy Chen got, for me. Liu Ruyan's attendance record for this month. I threw it onto the pile of photos. I said, open your eyes and look closely. These are all your leave requests. Tell me, which operating room were you exactly working overtime in? Was the lead surgeon, Ito Cheng? Ito Cheng's nice guy face had long turned the color of pig liver. He probably felt his reputation fell right onto the floor, along with those photos. He let out a roar, lunging over like a madman to grab the stuff on the floor. Ito Cheng yelled, "You're making this up!" I was already prepared. I dodged to the side and kicked him right behind his knee with my right foot. He let out a pathetic howl and dropped to one knee. Before he could even react, I threw a clean, hard roundhouse kick, landing solidly on his ribs. Ito Cheng looked like a kicked shrimp, curling up and flying sideways for 2 meters, hitting the wall and groaning, completely unable to get up. I shook my leg, smiled at the stunned security guards, and calmly explained I was on the high school track team and trained in Sanda for a bit. It's more than enough for a weak simp like him. The 2 guards looked at each other. The look in their eyes was actually full of sympathy. They came over and grabbed my arms, one on each side. But they didn't really use force. It felt more like they were protecting me. A few hospital executives rushed over after hearing the news. They started scolding me, telling me not to blow things out of proportion. I couldn't be bothered with their BS. I just pulled out my phone and dialed 911 in front of everyone. "Hello, police. I'd like to report an incident. 3rd floor of the city hospital outpatient building. Someone is cheating and tried to assault a kid. And I just beat him up. Send someone over to deal with it." Amidst everyone's shocked stares, I pulled the last document from the inner pocket of my backpack and tossed it onto a completely devastated Lu Ruyan. I said, "I've already signed the divorce papers." I looked at her. My voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for everyone around to hear clearly. "I'm taking Tiantian. You don't deserve to be her mother." I spent 24 hours at the police station. Ito Cheng's injury report came back as minor injuries, which didn't constitute criminal liability. I paid $10 in damages, signed a settlement agreement, and the whole thing was over. My dad's car was parked across the street, hazard lights flashing. He hadn't slept all night. His eyes were bloodshot. Seeing me walk out, he got out of the car without saying a word, took a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, handed me one, and lit it for me. I took a huge drag, and the smoke made me cough violently. Tears welling up, I asked, "Dad, where are Mom and Tiantian?" He said, "They're at home. Just went to sleep." He lit a cigarette for himself, his voice rough like sandpaper. He said, "Your mom and I went to the hospital yesterday. We heard all about the drama. Later your father-in-law called me." I was a bit surprised, asking, "What did he say?" He replied, "What else could he say?" My dad blew out a thick smoke ring, the frown lines on his forehead deep enough to crush a mosquito. He said, "He just kept apologizing. Said he was sorry to you, sorry to our G family. Said he couldn't control that girl Lu Ruyan anymore. Told us to handle it however we see fit. He has no objections." He threw the cigarette butt on the ground and crushed it hard with his shoe. "You absolutely have to get this divorce." The heaviest rock in my heart finally dropped. I went back to the place Liu Ruyan, and I called home. I pushed the door open to an empty house. In the freezing air, there was still a lingering scent of her sweet perfume, which, honestly, just made me nauseous. I grabbed a few suitcases from the storage room and started packing. First was Tiantian's stuff, her tiny clothes and little dresses, folded and sorted, piece by piece. Her favorite bunny plush-in that she literally has to hug to sleep every night, and those scribbled family portraits she drew. I picked one up. In the drawing, a little stick figure with pigtails was holding a tall daddy with one hand and a pretty mommy with the other. All 3 were smiling from ear to ear. My chest felt completely suffocated, tight and panicky. Then I packed my own stuff, which wasn't much, just some clothes, a few books, and my laptop. It was done in no time. After packing everything up, I took out the divorce papers I had prepared earlier from my briefcase and left them right in the middle of the coffee table. My signature was clearly written at the bottom. I dragged my suitcases out, taking one last look at the place I used to call home. I felt zero attachment, turned around and shut the door behind me. After moving everything into the old family house in City C, I gave my college senior, Shen Yuchu, a call. She's now a super famous divorce lawyer in the city. As soon as she picked up, I heard her sharp laugh. "Yo, Gee, the genius. What brings you here? Judging by your tone, it's not good news. Sounds like you're in trouble. I said, you could say that. I gave a bitter laugh and said, I beat up my wife and her side piece. Just got out of the police station. Shen Yuchu went dead silent for 2 seconds, and her voice instantly turned serious. She said, send me your location. I'll come to you. Wait, no. Come straight to my firm. We can't explain this over the phone. In Shen Yuchu's office, I sent her the entire folder named Evidence, along with all the photos and videos inside. Straight to her. Wearing her gold-rimmed glasses, she scrolled through fast, her fingers clicking the mouse at warp speed, skimming through every photo. Her expression went from chill to dead serious. Is this enough evidence? I asked. Enough. Shen Yuchu looked up, raised an eyebrow and said, way more than enough. With the receipts you have here, her cheating on you is practically set in stone. Plus, your veteran status gives you an edge. When the court decides on custody, they'll definitely lean in your favor. On top of that, she has a track record of trying to assault her kid in public. She has literally zero chance of getting custody of Tiantian. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes sharp behind the lenses. She asked, as for the division of assets, what's the deal with your marital property? I said, I paid off the house in full before we got married. The car is under her name. Our finances are separate. For our post-marriage savings, I have a few million. I have no idea how much she has. All right, got it. Shen Yuchu nodded. A cold, professional smirk appeared on her face. She said, if she just signs the papers and divorces peacefully, that's the best scenario. But if she refuses and wants to go to court, I promise you, besides that beat-up car she bought, she won't take a single dime from you. Hearing her say that, I finally felt totally relieved. The whole drama at the hospital was eventually dismissed as a medical dispute and swept under the rug. But, privately, the tea was already spilling all over the city hospital's break rooms, cafeterias and on-call rooms. Wherever there were people, there was gossip about cardiac surgery's Dr. Liu and the new Dr. Ito. Of course, Liu Ruyan heard about it too. She locked herself in the guest room of her bestie Xu Tingting's house. For a whole day, Xu Tingting was her closest friend at the hospital, working in the ultrasound department. When she pushed the door open, Liu Ruyan was sitting on the rug, with 2 empty wine bottles in front of her. Looking super bitter, she said, Ji Boda has lost his mind. He's an absolute psycho. When Liu Ruyan saw Xu Tingting, her eyes instantly turned red. She grabbed her arm, like she was grasping at her last lifeline. She cried, he hit me at the hospital, right in front of all my co-workers. And he even brainwashed Tiantian, making her slander me. How could he do this to me? She kept loudly listing Ji Boda's so-called crimes, saying he didn't trust her, saying Ji Boda completely destroyed her reputation in front of her parents and colleagues, calling him petty and dramatic. Xu Tingting just listened quietly, neither interrupting nor agreeing, waiting until Liu Ruyan sobbed herself out of breath and got tired. She finally handed her a glass of warm water and asked flatly, are you done? Liu Ruyan froze and nodded while hiccuping. Xu Tingting looked her dead in the eyes and said, then let me ask you something. What are you actually planning to do? Liu Ruyan didn't process it right away, asking confusedly, what do you mean? Xu Tingting just laid it out straight. Are you planning to just divorce Ji Boda and fly off into the sunset with Ito Cheng? Or are you going to cut things off completely with Ito Cheng and go home to live a normal life? Liu Ruyan's crying instantly stopped. She probably didn't expect that coming here for comfort would lead to getting hit with a question like this. She opened her mouth, and after a long pause forced out, me and Ito Cheng, we are totally platonic. Xu Tingting suddenly laughed. A laugh, dripping with unmistakable mockery. Liu Ruyan, gaslighting others is one thing, but you're literally gaslighting yourself now. Tell me, what kind of platonic coworker makes you lie to your husband, saying you have surgery, just so you can run off to celebrate his birthday? What kind of platonic coworker do you get so close to at dinner that you're practically feeding him from your spoon? What kind of platonic coworker can make a mother abandon her sick child with just one phone call? With every word Xu Tingting dropped, Liu Ruian's face grew paler. Shu Tingting continued. How many days did you even come home last month? How many fake overtime shifts did you tell Jibota you had? Do you think I'm stupid? You think I can't just go check the duty roster? Shu Tingting stood up, looking down at her. Let me give you a reality check. The way I see it, you're soaking up all the emotional validation from Ito Cheng, while still wanting Jibota to provide you with financial stability, and you expect him to unconditionally forgive all your lies. Liu Ruyan, are you just delusional? Or do you seriously think every man on earth owes you something? I've wanted to call you out before, but you're my bestie, and I figured it was between you and your husband. So it wasn't my place to butt in. But look at the state of you right now. You don't even recognize yourself anymore, do you? Shu Tingting pointed toward the door. She said, you don't believe me. Fine, go back to the hospital right now. Grab any random coworker and ask them, from the hospital directors down to the janitors. Ask them if they believe that the great Dr. Liu and Ito Cheng are just innocent, regular coworkers. I haven't. Liu Ruyan's voice faded out, completely lacking confidence. You haven't. Shu Tingting laughed out of frustration. She said, if you really haven't done anything, then why did Jibota snap and show up at the hospital? He's a guy who cares a lot about saving face. If you hadn't pushed him over the edge, would he ever do something like that? Liu Ruyan was completely speechless now. She slumped on the rug, her eyes empty. She came to Shu Tingting looking for an ally, so they could trash talk Jibota for being a clueless husband together. But instead, Shu Tingting ruthlessly tore off the fake mask she was so proud of. Watching her look so completely shattered, Shu Tingting sighed and handed her the final blow. She said, I heard that Jibota already gave you the divorce papers. To be completely fair, he's been more than decent over the past few months. Any other guy, knowing his wife is out every day, being sketchy with another dude, ignoring their sick child, would have smacked you a long time ago. The person who ruined this family isn't him. Shu Tingting placed a glass of water heavily in front of her. The bottom of the glass hit the coffee table, making a dull thud. What exactly is so great about Ito Cheng? Liu Ruyan, look deep inside yourself and tell me, how has Jibota ever mistreated you? Shu Tingting's voice wasn't loud, but every word was crystal clear. Don't even say that Jibota doesn't believe you and Ito Cheng are innocent. Even I don't believe you. Liu Ruyan jerked her head up, forgetting to even let her tears fall. She said, but I swear I haven't slept with Ito Cheng. Shu Tingting sneered. Does it even make a difference at this point? Who's gonna believe that? Liu Ruyan was in disbelief. Shu Tingting was her ultimate best, her safe haven for comfort. But right now, the way Shu Tingting looked at her was completely foreign and judgmental. Shu Tingting said, you're seriously acting like the victim right now. The whole hospital is gossiping about it, saying your daughter had a crazy high fever, and you stayed out all night partying with your innocent coworker. Your daughter looked forward to you coming to her sports day for days, and you ditched her to go celebrate his birthday. Liu Ruyan, just listen to the things you've done. Does that sound like a mother? Does that sound like a wife? If Jibota was a total pushover, he would have been fully cucked by now. Him coming to the hospital and throwing punches. You pushed him to do that. Word is, he literally caught you and Ito Cheng hugging in the office. Liu Ruyan, how do you even have the nerve to cry? Shu Tingting's words hit harder and more humiliatingly than Jibota's slap. She suddenly felt freezing cold, not even knowing what to do with her hands and feet. She ran out of Shu Tingting's place, like a wandering ghost, walking aimlessly through the midnight streets. As the cold wind blew, she finally realized she hadn't even brought her phone. Her mind was a complete mess, looping what Shu Tingting had just said. You're soaking up all the emotional validation from Ito Cheng, while still wanting Jibota to provide you with financial stability. Is that true? She remembered every time Ito Cheng reached out, she went to him like she was under a spell. Every time Ito Cheng called her, she answered with butterflies in her stomach. As for Jibota, it seems like ever since they got married, seeing his caller ID just made her subconsciously annoyed. The last time she actually called Jibota first was because she maxed out her credit card. She thought about the divorce agreement. When she received it, she tore it up without even looking at it. Back then she was just thinking, who does Jibota think he is? To ask for a divorce. Whether this family falls apart or not should be her call. But, thinking about it now, it was more of a guilty, defensive struggle. She then remembered the hospital hallway. How Jibota firmly shielded Tiantian behind him. And how she had raised her hand to slap her. Tiantian's eyes were full of fear at that moment. Her own daughter was terrified of her. That realization sent a sharp pang of pain through her chest. Finally, her mind froze on the moment Jibota kicked Ito Cheng away. How did she react then? She had rushed up, trying to scratch Jibota's face, screaming at him to stop. If the head nurse hadn't held her back tight, she probably really would have gotten into a physical fight with her own husband, all for another man. Liu Ruyan stopped in her tracks. She stood under the street lamp, the light stretching her shadow long and thin. She finally had to admit, Shu Tingting was right. The person who destroyed this family wasn't Jibota. It was herself. A delayed panic totally consumed her. She started running towards home, stumbling as she ran, even twisting her ankle in her heels. She just wanted to go home. She had to get home. She needed to explain everything to Jibota. She and Ito Cheng really didn't cross the line. They didn't sleep together. She was just temporarily blinded. She would never do it again. She still had a chance, right? She definitely had a chance. Panting heavily, she unlocked the front door. Jibota, Tiantian. The house was completely pitch black. No one answered. She fumbled around and turned on the entryway light. As the light poured in, the living room was dead empty. Tiantian's toy bin was gone. On the entryway cabinet, the shoes Jibota usually wore were missing too. A document sat quietly on the coffee table. It was those same divorce papers. A sticky note was pressed against it, with Jibota's sharp, bold handwriting. I took Tiantian. I have listed the house with an agent. The car is yours, and don't bother looking for us. She picked it up and put it down, reading it over and over. Finally, she realized she hadn't misread a thing. She once told Jibota that he was the most stubborn person she'd ever met. Once he made a choice, nothing could change his mind. She had laughed when she said it back then, thinking it was just couples banter. She never thought it would actually come true. Starting from that welcome party, the first lie she told was like knocking over the first domino. It went from being scared and nervous, exhausting herself with explanations, to lies just rolling off her tongue. Suddenly, the house felt wrong. It was so empty, it was terrifying. She rushed into Tiantian's room. The closet was open, and more than half the clothes were gone. Tiantian's favorite pajamas and the little socks she wore every day were missing. The worn-out panda plushie that Tiantian hugged every night was gone too. All that was left were a few expensive princess dresses she'd bought on a whim and were rarely worn, hanging there all alone. She bolted into the master bedroom and yanked open the wardrobe. Jibota's side was looking thin too. He only took his daily essentials. The designer suits and ties she had bought for him were untouched, hanging neatly in a row, like a silent insult. At that moment, a sharp fear gripped her. She frantically searched the house for her phone, then remembered she'd left everything at Shu Tingting's. She lunged for the landline in the living room, her fingers shaking as she dialed Shu Tingting. Shu Tingting, bring me my phone now. Hurry. Since she lived nearby, she was there in 10 minutes. Seeing Liu Ruyan in such a mess, she didn't say a word, just handed over the phone. Liu Ruyan grabbed it and unlocked it. The second the screen lit up, she desperately tapped through her contacts, found Jibota's name, and called. All she heard was a cold, robotic voice. Hello. The number you have dialed is out of service. Out of service? He deactivated his number. Liu Ruyan's hand shook so hard, she almost dropped the phone, refusing to give up. She opened WeChat and messaged him. Jibota, come back, let's talk. A red exclamation mark stung her eyes. He had blocked her. Her last shred of hope was her daughter's smart watch. With trembling hands, she dialed Tiantian's number. She heard the long ringing tone. No one picked up. She called again and again, until finally it went straight to voicemail. The phone slipped from her weak grip and hit the rug. The screen went dark. Liu Ruyan slumped to the floor, finally breaking down. She grabbed Shu Tingting before she could leave, and sobbed. There was no more defensiveness or blaming, just pure raw despair from being abandoned. He left me, she choked out. Shu Tingting, he really left me. Even Tiantian. Tiantian doesn't want me anymore. Seeing her like this, Shu Tingting's anger vanished, replaced by pure exhaustion. She picked the phone up off the floor and shoved it back into Liu Ruyan's hand. What's the point in crying? She asked. Did Jiboda vanish off the face of the earth? Is crying going to bring him back? Liu Ruyan looked up with tear-filled eyes, unable to speak through her sobs. Shu Tingting said coldly, he's a real person. He hasn't just disappeared. His parents' house, where he grew up, you know exactly where that is. But, looking like this, do you want another fight, or do you want Tiantian to see how pathetic her mom is? Shu Tingting paused, her tone softening slightly. Liu Ruyan, think this through properly. You have to cut things off with Ito Cheng for good. If Jiboda ever sees any more drama between you two, don't blame him for being heartless. Otherwise, just sign the papers. Don't drag things out until there's no dignity left. Secondly, don't go to him until you've figured out your mistakes. Going now will just add fuel to the fire. It's pointless. Shu Tingting's words were like ice water, poured over her. Liu Ruyan's crying slowly stopped. She looked at Shu Tingting, her lips moved, wanting to say something, but found she had no words left. Shu Tingting sighed, pursed her lips and said, I'm leaving. Calm yourself down. It really wasn't her place to get too involved in their business. After the door closed, Liu Ruyan was alone. She gripped her phone, like it was her only hope. She thought for a long time, then finally called her own home. The phone rang for a while before someone picked up. It was her mother. The moment Liu Ruyan spoke, her voice broke. Silence for a second on the other end. Then her father's voice erupted. How dare you call back? You've disgraced the entire Liu family. In the background her mother was pleading. Old Liu, let her speak. Let her finish. Speak? What's there to say? Raising someone so shameless. I can't even show my face anymore. Her father's insults grew sharper. Liu Ruyan gripped the phone, her hand shaking. Dad, it's not like that. Ito Cheng and I are nothing serious. She argued desperately. Nothing happened between us. Her father roared. You still have the nerve? Her mother snatched the phone, her voice full of exhaustion and disappointment. Ruyan, tell me the truth. Is what your father's saying really true? Liu Ruyan trembled. I didn't sleep with him. I really didn't. I just made a mistake. That was her final line in the sand, her last bit of dignity. A long silence followed on the other end. Finally, her mother spoke, her voice raspy. What do you want to do now? Liu Ruyan said, I want to find Jiboda. I want to apologize to Tiantian. I want to beg him. But her father interrupted. Don't bother. His voice was completely cold now. Listen, Ruyan. Any man pushed this far won't come back. Don't embarrass yourself further. Just sign the papers and keep what dignity you have left. Her mother snapped. What are you talking about? She said. Ruyan, don't listen to him. You were wrong. So you have to own it. Humble yourself and apologize sincerely. Even if it's over. Clear the air. Don't let him leave with these misunderstandings. And don't let things get even worse. The call ended. The house was dead silent. Her father's words were like ice. But her mother's words kindled a small spark of hope in her heart. Should she go or not? Sign or not? Sitting on the cold floor, Liu Ruyan stared at the thin document. For the first time, she felt truly lost. This was probably her last shot. If she missed this too, she didn't want to think about it. The next afternoon, Liu Ruyan showed up at my parents' place. In an old residential compound, there were no secrets between neighbors. She wore a simple dress, her hair tied back neatly, no makeup, her eyes red from crying. Standing at the gate, she really did look pathetic. My mom opened the door. When she saw it was her, the small smile on her face vanished instantly. She blocked the doorway. Mom, Liu Ruyan started, her voice cracking. My dad came out to the living room too. hand fan in hand. He stood by my mom like a mountain. Jiboda isn't here, he said. His voice was deep, giving nothing away. The tears started streaming down Liu Ruyan's face again. Mom, Dad? I know I messed up. I really was just confused. Please, let me see. Tiantian, let me explain to Jiboda. She tried to squeeze inside. My mom blocked her, firm, but not aggressive. Liu Ruyan, she said. Talk to Jiboda yourself. We're old, we can't handle your drama. Tiantian must have heard her mother's voice, because she poked her head out from behind my mom, looking at her timidly. Tiantian. Liu Ruyan looked like she'd seen a savior, her eyes lighting up. She knelt down, reaching for Tiantian's hand. Tiantian. It's Mommy. Mommy's here for you. Tiantian shrank back, hiding behind my mom's leg. Mommy, she whispered. Please don't hang out with that mean uncle anymore. Kids really have no filter. That mean uncle, Tiantian said, makes you miss my parent-teacher meetings. And my birthdays, too. She counted them off on her little fingers one by one. Grandma says, good mommies don't act like that. Liu Ruyan just froze there, completely stone-faced. Every word from Tiantian was like a tiny hammer, light but steady, pounding against her heart. She finally clearly realized just how much she had messed up. The things she thought were no big deal were actually huge to her daughter. I'm sorry, Tiantian, she choked out. Mommy is so sorry. Liu Ruyan couldn't take it anymore. Her knees buckled, and, she fell to her knees on the concrete yard. The sound of her knees hitting the ground was heavy. Mom, Dad, she cried. I'm begging you, just one more chance. There's nothing between me and Ito Cheng. We didn't go that far. It's not too late. She was sobbing her heart out, making the neighbors stop and stare, whispering from a distance. My dad's face was as dark as it could get. Just then, I drove around the corner and pulled into the alley. I immediately saw Liu Ruyan kneeling at the gate, my parents looking beyond stressed, and my daughter looking lost behind her grandma. Talk about a main character moment. I looked past her. Sitting not far away, under the old locust tree at the corner, was a black sedan. I knew that license plate number anywhere. Ito Cheng's. He probably thought parking at the gate was too obvious, so he picked a hidden spot. So, they came here, as a team. I parked and got out. Liu Ruyan looked at me like I was her only hope, trying to crawl over to grab me. Jiboda. Let me explain. I frowned. Get up. My voice was dead calm. Stop with the performance, I said. The neighbors are watching. It's embarrassing. She stared at me, blankly, tears still hanging on her lashes. Just go home. I looked at her, too drained to even be mad. The divorce papers, I said, have already been emailed to you by my lawyer. If you want to talk about assets, talk to her. I paused, making sure every word landed. But Tiantian's custody, that's non-negotiable. Liu Ruyan struggled to stand. Her knees were scraped, but she didn't care about the pain. Trying to lunge at me, I stepped aside and dodged her. She lost her balance, falling hard on the concrete again, her palms scraping against the ground. Jiboda. Just then, the expected voice came from the corner of the alley. Ito Cheng rushed over, helping her up, while cursing me out. Are you even a man? He yelled. Ruyan is literally begging you. And she's hurt. How can you be so cold-blooded? My parents' faces turned ghost white. The neighbors' whispering got even louder. Seeing Ito Cheng appear, Liu Ruyan completely panicked. She knew that the moment he showed his face, all her effort just went down the drain. She'd never be able to explain this to her parents, so, ignoring the pain in her hands, she slapped Ito Cheng across the face. Slap! It was so hard it left him dazed. Why are you here? She screamed, hysterically. Did I tell you to come? Are you trying to ruin my life? Ito Cheng clutched his face, totally shook. Liu Ruyan, are you crazy? I'm doing this for you. For me. Liu Ruyan's voice went sharp. Get out. Leave now. Don't you ever show your face again. Ito Cheng glared at me. No. He shot back. I'm not leaving. Jiboda. You don't deserve her. I suddenly laughed. That cold, triggered kind of laugh. I moved to step forward, but Liu Ruyan frantically blocked my path, shielding Ito Cheng with her arms. The yard went dead silent. I stopped in my tracks, looking at her coldly. She froze too, looking down at her own outstretched arms, not even believing she had actually done that. That moment spoke louder than any receipts ever could. "Mommy!" Tiantian cried, trying to run out. But my mom held her back tight. A kid shouldn't have to see this mess. "Mom," I said without looking back. "Take Tiantian inside." My dad walked over, glancing at Liu Ruyan on her knees, then at the clueless Ito Cheng. He shook his head. "Boda, don't start anything. The neighbors are watching." My mom picked up Tiantian, whispering comfortingly, "It's okay, baby. Let's go watch some TV." Tiantian leaned on her grandma's shoulder, asking softly, "Grandma, why's mommy kneeling? Did she do something wrong?" "It's grown-up stuff, sweetie." My mom hurried inside with her. Hearing her daughter's voice made Liu Ruyan cry even harder. She let go of my leg, shouting toward the house, "Tiantian, tell daddy that mommy's gonna be with you. Mommy's never leaving you again." The door shut. Just the three of us left in the yard. Liu Ruyan stayed on her knees, hugging my leg tight. "Gee, Boda, I'm begging you. Just one more chance. I promise. Nothing happened between me and Ito Cheng. I didn't sleep with him. I swear. I'll take such good care of Tiantian. I swear it. I'll never." I looked down at her. "Are you done acting yet?" "Gee, Boda, I'm not acting. I mean it. Mean it." I pointed at Ito Cheng still standing at the corner. "Then, what about him? How much of that meaning it does he get?" Liu Ruyan followed my finger. Ito Cheng stood there, the slap mark still red on his face, full of rage and bitterness. She bit her lip. "I'll make him leave. I'll make him leave right now." She scrambled up and ran toward him. I didn't stop her. I just watched. Honestly, even if Ito Cheng hadn't shown up today, she was already dead to me. The fact that he did show up just sealed it. I remembered her parents calling me last night, saying she had cut him off for good, asking me to just talk to her, even if we were still getting divorced. Looks like that's not happening. When she couldn't get my forgiveness, Liu Ruyan started stalking me. On my way to work, her car would suddenly swerve in front of mine. When I left work, she'd be waiting at the entrance for hours. She'd even beat me to Tiantian's school pickup. "Gee, Boda, will you just listen to me for once?" She blocked my path, her eyes swollen. "I promise, this is the last time." I rubbed my temples. "You say that every time." I walked around her. "Ito Cheng got fired," she shouted. From behind me, I reported him. I reported every single violation he made at the clinic. "He's going to lose his medical license." I stopped and turned around. "I'm completely done with him," she said. Seriously, her eyes had this almost manic look. "I ruined him just to prove it to you. Do you believe me now?" I scoffed. "You made vows at our wedding too," I said, looking at her flatly. "You promised a lot of things. Did you keep them?" Liu Ruyan opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "Let's just end this cleanly," I said. "Don't make it any messier." I turned and left. But she just wouldn't quit. The divorce papers had been with her for 3 months, but she refused to sign. Every time my lawyer called, she had a new excuse. One day it was "I need more time." The next, it was "I have to talk to him in person." Then it was "the child needs her mother." Shen Yuchu told me over the phone, sounding frustrated. She's sticking to her story, that nothing physical happened. She thinks things aren't too far gone yet. "Gee, Boda, looks like we'll have to take this to court." I was silent for a long time. A court battle meant airing all our dirty laundry in public, explaining every single detail, in front of a judge. It wouldn't be pretty for anyone. "I know you don't want a scene," Shen Yuchu said gently, "but if she won't sign, you'll never move on. To get your freedom, this is the only way." "Fine," I said. "Prepare the filing." In court, I presented all the evidence, not just the photos and videos. And then there's the chat history, those logs. Ito Cheng sent them to me when he decided to go scorched earth. He knew Liu Ruyan had reported him, and his medical license was toast. So he just leaked everything to me, just to make sure our divorce actually happened. Since it's come to this, divorce is a given. I honestly didn't care anymore. I told the court, the defendant siphoned 500 yuan from our joint family account to spend on her side piece, Ito Cheng. I handed the bank statements to the judge, 300 of that was used to bail out Ito Cheng's private clinic, without even discussing it with me, and the other 200 went toward their fancy dates and trips. Liu Ruyan sat in the defendant's chair, face pale as a ghost. I didn't even notice this at first, I added. It wasn't until I tried to pay for our daughter's tuition, and after-school clubs and the card got declined, that I realized the account was drained. I continued, these receipts are undeniable. The judge flipped through the bank logs, frowning deeply. And one more thing, I said. Since the day our daughter was born, I've been the one actually raising her. I pulled out a thick stack of documents. I have statements from the kindergarten teachers, hospital records, and testimonies from neighbors. Miss Liu Ruyan was so busy dating her side piece that she rarely came home, let alone took care of her kid. Liu Ruyan's lawyer tried to counter, but with all those hard receipts, they had nothing to work with. Your Honor, he started. My client admits to having inappropriate contact with Ito Cheng during the marriage, but she firmly denies that any actual physical cheating took place. Physical? I let out a cold laugh. Is 500 yuan not physical enough for you? Liu Ruyan started crying her heart out in the stand, tears streaming down her face, not even caring how messy she looked. Your Honor, she sobbed. I know I messed up. I really know it now. She stood up, hands clasped in prayer. I beg you, just give me one last chance. I promise I'll be a better wife and mom. I'll never do anything like this again. The judge frowned, looking between her and me. Liu Ruyan turned to me, wailing, Ji Boda, I'm begging you, for Tianxian's sake, can't we just start over, please? She looked at me, her eyes red and swollen like cherries. I'll sign anything, a guarantee. I swear, if I ever slip up again, I'll literally end it all. In the gallery, some older ladies whispered, poor girl, she looks so heartbroken. But someone else shot back, poor. She cheated, she's getting what she deserves. The judge banged the gavel. Order. The defendant will take her seat. Liu Ruyan refused to sit. She dropped to her knees in the courtroom. Your Honor, I really didn't sleep with Ito Cheng. We were just flirty. I was temporarily blinded, but I didn't betray the core of our marriage. She cried harder and harder, her voice cracking. If you let us divorce, I won't have a reason to live. I'll die right here. Liu Ruyan suddenly stood up and made a move toward the wall. There was a collective gasp from the gallery. The court clerk quickly held her back. The judge had a massive headache. Looking at the time, he said, recess for 15 minutes. We'll resume shortly. That recess turned into an hour. The judge called me into the mediation room. Mr. G, he started, trying his best. I know you're furious, but you were married for years. And your daughter is young. Ms. Liu claims nothing physical actually happened. If she truly wants to change. I laughed. Judge, you're a man too. Could you tolerate a woman spending your money on her lover? What man could? How could I ever trust her again? I cut him off. That was 500 yuan. She gave it to another guy without blinking. The judge sighed. But she seems to realize her mistake now. Realize? I sneered. If she actually cared, she would have signed the papers 3 months ago. She wouldn't wait until we're in court to act pathetic. Seeing my firm stance, the judge went back to talk to Liu Ruyan. An experienced female judge who couldn't stand the sight went into the mediation room too. She talked with Liu Ruyan for a long time. Liu Ruyan was a total mess in there. I could hear her wailing even from outside. Miss Liu, the judge said, you say you've realized your mistake and want to save this. That's great, but since the relationship is broken, maybe it's better to just end it for now. Liu Ruyan looked up, her eyes blurry with tears. After closing this failed chapter, the judge continued, you can try to start fresh. Try to win back your husband and daughter later. With your daughter there, there's always a link. You'll definitely have visitation rights. There's still a chance to fix things in the future. But Liu Ruyan tried to protest. Just think about it, the judge said. Being stuck like this doesn't help anyone. She patiently urged her, rather than staying in pain. Close this chapter and look for a new beginning. Liu Ruyan was silent for a long time. 30 minutes later, the female judge walked out, looking exhausted. Mr. G, she said. I talked to her. When the trial resumed, Liu Ruyan's eyes were nearly swollen shut. but she looked much calmer. The judge asked her, "Does the defendant have anything else to say?" Liu Ruyan stood up, her voice raspy. "Your Honor, I agree to the divorce." The room was in shock. Even her own lawyer was stunned. "I did wrong," she said, "and I hurt my family." She looked at me, tears falling again, but without the drama this time. "Jiboda," she said. "I'm sorry." She paused. Her voice was soft. "You can have custody of Tiantia. I won't fight it. I only ask for visitation rights. I am still her mother, after all." I looked at her, feeling a mix of emotions. Was this even the same Liu Ruyan? The judge looked relieved. "Since both parties agreed to the divorce, we will now finalize the division of assets and child custody arrangements." By the time everything was done, it was 4 p.m. Walking out of the courthouse, I suddenly felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders, like I'd finally dropped a massive burden. Liu Ruyan followed behind me. "Jiboda," she asked softly, "when can I see Tiantian?" "Every Saturday, from 2 to 5 p.m. I said without looking back. "At my parents' house." "Thank you," she whispered. I didn't turn around, just kept walking toward the parking lot. This marriage was finally over. After the divorce, I heard through friends that she really did cut things off with Ito Chang. When he tried to look for her again, she actually stabbed him in the back professionally, blaming him for ruining her life. It caused a huge scandal. Her parents had to pay a fortune and use all their connections to settle things. Meanwhile, I focused entirely on my career, getting a new car and a new place. But, soon enough, every day after work, I'd see Liu Ruyan waiting for me downstairs with a soup thermos. "Jiboda, I made some soup for you guys." She'd hand it over timidly. My absolute favorite kind. I took it without saying much. Her cooking had always been top tier. "Dad, Mommy made soup." Tiantian poked her head out from the back seat, her eyes sparkling. Liu Ruyan quickly leaned in. "Hey, sweetie, Mommy missed you so much." Whenever I picked up our daughter, she would just stand there watching. If Tiantian wanted her, she'd step forward and give her a big hug. Sometimes Tiantian would beg to go home with her, but Liu Ruyan would just say with red eyes, "You have to listen to Daddy, baby. Mommy can't take you home yet." She even started visiting my parents on holidays, acting incredibly humble. On Mid-Autumn Festival, she knocked on the door with a huge box of mooncakes. My mom looked conflicted when she saw her. "Mom," Liu Ruyan said, "I bought these mooncakes for you guys." She stood there, slightly bowed, her voice barely a whisper. My dad put down his newspaper. "Ruyan, come in and sit." "No thanks, Dad. I just wanted to drop these off." Her eyes were red again. "Is Tiantian home? I'd love to see her." Tiantian was doing her homework that day, and the second she saw her mom, she dropped her pen and ran to her. Liu Ruyan hugged her, tears hitting the floor. Yet she forced a smile to make her daughter laugh. She did this every single day, rain or shine. Even my parents were starting to be moved by her commitment. My mom eventually sat me down for a talk. "Boda, she really knows she messed up. Look at how hard she's trying." My dad chimed in too. "Everyone makes mistakes. Since she's clearly turned over a new leaf, maybe you could give her one more chance. Just one." I shook my head and said, "Mom, Dad, some things just can't be fixed." My mom sighed, "But she's doing the most for you. She waits for you even when it's pouring." It honestly breaks my heart. Liu Ruyan was definitely persistent. There was this one time, a total downpour. I saw her standing downstairs after work, soaked to the bone, still clutching that soup thermos. I wanted to just ghost her and drive past. But Tiantian pressed her face against the window, yelling, "Mommy, Mommy's getting rained on." I felt a slight tug at my heart in that moment, but my brain shut it down instantly. I knew she was trying to pay for her sins, but that spark in me was just dead. Those lies. That 500 yuan. The way she reflexively shielded him. It was all stuck in my head, like nails driven into a board. Even if you pull them out, the holes stay forever. That failed marriage completely destroyed my faith in love. We used to be so goals, so sweet, but we couldn't survive the vibe check of time and human nature. No matter the excuses, I just couldn't get over it. Sometimes I'd wish for a undo button on life, But reality doesn't have what ifs. It only has consequences. I eventually found a chance to tell Liu Ruyan straight up that we were never happening again. So, she should stop waiting. She said, "Gee Boda, I'm not even asking to remarry. I just need you to forgive me." Standing there, tears streaming down her face, she sobbed. "I know I messed up big time, but I've really changed. Whether you changed or not is none of my business," I said, keeping my voice flat. "We are over. Go find a life of your own, instead of wasting it on me. My life is you and Tiantian." She choked out. "I've thought about it so much. I didn't just wreck a marriage. I wrecked our future." I didn't respond, just went upstairs. But Liu Ruyan just kept crying and coming back. Day after day. I couldn't stop her. If that's how she wanted to live, whatever. I just poured all my energy into my career and raising my girl. When Tiantian was in elementary school, Liu Ruyan did the school run every single day, never missed a beat. At parent-teacher meetings, she'd sit in the back, listening quietly the whole time. When Tiantian won an award, she was more hyped than I was, clapping with tears in her eyes. "Dad, why can't Mommy come home?" Tiantian asked once. "Mommy made a mistake," I said. "She needs time to work through it. Just focus on your studies, sweetie. You'll get it when you're older." My daughter grew up day by day, through middle school, high school, and college. She started looking more and more like Liu Ruyan did back in the day. Sometimes looking at her made me glitch, like I was seeing the 20-year-old version of her mother again. Liu Ruyan was there for every milestone, but she never overstepped, just watched from a distance, low-key supporting her. Meanwhile, I turned into a dad-bod, middle-aged guy, hair graying at the temples. My parents got really old. Thankfully, they were still healthy. My father-in-law passed away the year before last. I went to the funeral. Liu Ruyan was in all black, looking incredibly thin and worn out, eyes sunken, that old beauty completely gone. After the funeral, Liu Ruyan moved in with her mother to look after her. The year Tiantian graduated university, she asked me, "Dad, don't you think Mom still loves you?" Love or not, it's all in the past. I sighed. At this stage, I'm just happy if I did right by you. Finally, my daughter found a boyfriend, a good guy, from a nice family. 2 years later they were getting hitched. She carefully asked, "Dad, can we invite Mom to the wedding?" I froze for a bit, looking at the hope in her eyes. I hesitated, then nodded. "Seriously?" Tiantian jumped for joy. "Dad, thank you so much." I knew she had forgiven her mother ages ago. My parents had been on my back about it too. Noting that Liu Ruyan never remarried, they saw how hard she'd been trying all these years. My mom once told me, "Liu Ruyan has been waiting 20 years for this. Boda, you should just let it go." But only I knew that true forgiveness was impossible. What happened back then still haunts me, keeping me up at night. Liu Ruyan spent those 20 years living in regret, and it aged her so fast. Her hair was gray, her back was hunched. She looked 10 years older than she actually was. When she heard I agreed to have her at the wedding, she cried tears of joy. She hugged Tiantian for ages after she delivered the invite. "Mom, don't cry. You're messing up your makeup." Tiantian gently wiped her tears. "I'm just so happy," Liu Ruyan whispered. So happy. I've been waiting 20 years for this day." Listening from outside the door, I felt complicated. 20 years. You only get so many of those. Time changes a lot of things, and a lot of people. But the moral compass of right and wrong doesn't always shift with the clock.